You're live.
Okay, good evening. This is the October 28th, 2020 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Newcastle. Mrs. Secretary?
Okay, we have an extension request, which is going to be held off until we hear case number 2020-23. So we'll jump from that right to Kingfisher Philanthropies. Are they available for us tonight?
I'm here, but there does seem to be a problem with the rest of the team signing in. Carrie, do you have any information on that?
What names are they? I can resend them. This is for what, Kingfisher?
This is for Kingfisher.
Okay, so I have Geraldine is one of the emails I'm gonna send, Mark Toulis, John Damaris, Anthony.
John, is it that you think they are having trouble signing in, or is it something else?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
I see them, to be quite honest with you. I see them.
I mean, I'm involved. This is Ellie Hendrickson. I'm here, and Tony Grau is on. I see John. Jerry is on. I'm just looking at the list too. I just think that it must be our client, Lord and John Damaris. So.
All right, I resent their invite just in case.
And Mark Toulis.
I did send him as well.
Okay.
And I don't see them as attendees. I would drag them over, but they're not there.
Well, we can go ahead.
Are you so are you sure, or do you want us to perhaps go to the next application and come back to you? What would you prefer?
I think I would prefer to go ahead.
Okay.
If we hit some kind of an issue, maybe we can come back.
Okay.
But in any case, it appears to me, Laura and John, which will probably join us at some point. Ellie is on. Tony, the engineer, is on. Ellie is the landscape architect, by the way. Jerry Tortorello represented the original subdivider. Our partner, Adam Weckstein, has prepared all of the background legal research, which we have discussed before. And of course, Mark Toulis, my friend and former law partner. A quick summary. I think agreement has been reached on everything. Based on the meeting that was held in the field with staff at the cul-de-sac, it's agreed the parking lot for 4 spaces will be constructed. Application will be made to the planning board for lot merger and site plan approval. Conservation easement will be given to the Westchester Land Trust. We'll go back to the Architectural Review Board, who were very positive, and go for a sign permit. We'll come back to the building inspector, who likewise has been very positive, to get a building permit for that parking lot. And as far as any other comments and suggestions that were made by staff, there are no objections. We're ready to go. Tonight, we're just asking for you to approve what's called the NOI, a notice of intent to be lead agency. Have that sent out. We'd also very much appreciate it if you would direct staff to prepare an approval resolution for your next meeting. Hopefully at that point, you would be in position, but there is a technical issue. Seeker requires you give other agencies 30 days to respond to that NOI, that notice of intent. Your next regularly scheduled meeting is less than 30 days away, but that's Thanksgiving week. And your following meeting is the last week of December. And neither are very good times to meet. So we would just like to respectfully throw out there that maybe you might like to combine your November and December meetings into one meeting in early December. Obviously, that would be very good for us, but it might also be convenient for you and the public. So that's really all we have to say tonight. And we thank you very much for your patience and attention through all of this.
Bob, did you want to be heard on this application? Bob Cioli?
I can go over my comments very briefly if you'd like.
Sure, that'd be fine.
Majority of the comments have been satisfactorily addressed. On my previous memo, there were some comments on my last memo dated July 23rd, 2020, which were not completed, but I have no objection to the zoning board putting them in as conditions of the ZBA resolution. Likewise, the new comments I have received starting series LSC1 through LSC14 are a lot of minor issues, I believe. I mean, there's look substantial and everything looks worse than writing. Go over them real quickly. I think what they're doing is basically they're taking out the asphalt driveway and they're putting in a permeable pavement, which is a good idea. However, I recommend they put in a curtain drain to pick up the water and make it go into the stormwater system that is was intended for. And basically, just to quickly summarize these, they would need no objections from DEP regarding the modifications to the stormwater plan. Also, too, I would recommend they get no objection letters from the county because they will be doing some modifications to the water line that was put in 2008 and 2009. And just some technical comments regarding driveway profiles, water main profiles, and more details on the water main cap and plug, which they plan on doing to abandon some of those, the water main section up by the top of most section of the lots. And also too, they should provide an engineer's cost estimate to come up with performance bond and the maintenance bonds and then inspection fees. And last but not least, there's some modifications I would recommend to the, not only the filed map for the easements on those properties, but also the amended declaration of easements and possibly the water main easement as well. And I, again, would have no problem if the ZBA would take these into consideration to put these in conditions of approval at this point moving forward. And that ends my comment.
Okay.
We're in total agreement.
Sabrina, did you have anything that you wanted to add on this application?
I did a review memo, really just taking off of my previous review memo back in July, and I prepared for your board the notice of intent to be lead agency and start that secret process with a coordinated review. My comments really relate to, just kind of filling you in on the latest details regarding variances and other approvals that will be needed by the planning board in relation to the subdivision. To combine the lots. So I don't really have any further comments for your board other than having you review the notice of intent and circulating that.
Okay. Tom, was there anything you wanted to add?
Not at this time. They've given us all the information necessary. Thank you.
Okay. Eric, how should we proceed from here?
So Mr. Kirkpatrick is correct. If the notice of intent is issued even tomorrow, if you adopt a resolution to circulate the notice of intent, 30 days does take you out beyond the date of the November meeting. And you do need to wait the 30-day period. We also need to, I believe, do a GML referral to the county planning department because it's a special permit. So that's another task that needs to be accomplished. I agree with all the other comments that we're ready to move forward on the notice of intent. It's just a question of when we can get to, preparing a resolution. And typically the board would wait till see if any comments come back on the notice of intent under SECRA, and then discuss the adoption, the writing of the resolution, and then they would formally adopt it at the next meeting. It's really up to the planning department when, and the town engineer and town building inspector when we think we can get a written resolution prepared but it can't be before the next scheduled meeting in November because we have the 30-day period. So the action the board would take tonight is the adoption of a resolution authorizing the distribution of the notice of intent to be lead agency. That's I think that's clear. The next question is when do you hear this application again? And is it to adopt a resolution, or is it to consider if there are any comments and then authorize the planning department to draft a resolution?
Well, so it's my feeling that to combine the November and December meetings is not a great idea. But what I would like to do for the Kingfisher people is to propose that we have a special meeting. We've done it before for certain instances, and we could have a special meeting first or second week in December just for their application, which would get us beyond the 30-day requirement, which then also would probably help them too by moving it a little faster. I'd like to see this move faster, as fast as we can. I think they've been very patient with us. They put a lot of information in front of us, and I think it's a great proposal, and I don't want to punish them for it. I'd like to do whatever we need to do to move this forward quickly, we should do. And we should get our notice of intent out there, and whenever that 30 days is up, we should have a special meeting to consider what any responses that have come in, if any. And then from there, move forward with a resolution to approve whatever needs to be approved to get these people going. That's my personal opinion, and if anybody on the board agrees with me, I hope you let me know.
I'm fine with that, but is the 2 weeks going to make a difference?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that rather than, well, also combining the two meetings, the November and December, may be a hardship for us as well. There may be a hardship for the applicants that are counting on December.
I don't advocate combining the meetings.
Yeah.
I don't think the meetings should be combined.
No, I don't. I'm not for that at all.
I'm gonna say something here for staff, just because we are inundated with a very heavy workload at this time. And if you are looking for a draft resolution, it would be best to have the draft resolution for a December meeting if you're going to hold one. It is we are beyond with trying to serve the public under the current circumstances. And in fact, we are now to be reduced to a 50% in the office staffing level in the next couple of weeks. So it would be best to toll the time for the agencies to respond under seeker, and then we can be preparing that resolution for your consideration and incorporate whatever comes in under seeker, and then give you a draft to comment on and speak to at your meeting. But to try and get that done, I'd like as much time for staff as possible.
So how does that affect the 30-day waiting period for our notice of intent? Is that going to, if we do that right away, and if staff would, I guess we have to wait. We can't push you too hard. I know you're having a really difficult time with this pandemic business, but my main concern is to move this along as quickly as possible, whatever it takes. And if you people need a little more time, I'm sure they will understand as well as we on the board will.
Yeah, I think it's possible to have a draft resolution for your consideration for your December meeting. Most definitely. And I think that incorporates any of the timeframes, unless we receive comments from an interested or involved agency that gives pause to your decision making. Eric, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that timetable makes sense. When is the meeting in December right now? What's the date?
Jackie, do you have the date?
I believe it's December 18th.
Right. So
it's not that far into December. I think I think if you authorize the staff to start preparing that resolution, and then taking into account any comments that may come in, and have the resolution, a proposed resolution by the 18th. I think, Sabrina, if that works for your staff, we could shoot for that. I think that's a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, no, I think that would be wonderful.
Okay, I'm looking at my calendar too, and I see the 18th. Yeah, you're right. It's close enough to earlier in the month than we normally would be. But okay, so let's go ahead and get our notice of intent out there and see what comes back. And as quickly as we can get going, we get these people on the road to some progress.
Do we need a motion, Eric?
Have we, and now you have to remind me, I think we're still in the public hearing. I don't know if did we formally close the public hearing on this matter? That was the other question I
I
had.
don't think you
No,
would-
I'm sorry. Before we do that, Pam, would you allow, there's someone who wishes Adam to address the board?
Oh, sure.
Hi, I had not asked to address the board. I'm not sure where that came from. I apologize.
No worries. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Pam, do you see anyone who's raised their hand or is waiting in the queue?
Not at this
Sabrina?
time.
The only, Dennis's phone line is in attendees. I don't know if he was supposed to speak on this.
No, I've actually been communicating with him. He does not have any comment on this application. Everything has been addressed in the communication from the applicant.
Okay, great.
He is listening.
Okay.
So Eric, we need a motion then?
Motion to close the public hearing, correct?
Okay. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Yes.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
And
And
then
then
Eric,
you-
go
Then
ahead.
you need a motion to, authorize the issuance of the notice of intent to act as lead agency. And then another motion to authorize staff and council to begin preparing the resolution, subject to receipt of comments under, in response to the notice of lead agency.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we circulate the notice of intent naming the zoning board as lead agency. We will ask staff to be prepared to draft a resolution for the December meeting based on comments that we receive in response to the notice.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
He's muted.
Is Michael here? I don't think he is he?
I
I
see.
am-
I
I'm
do-
here. I'm having computer issues. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I said aye, yes.
okay. Okay, thank you, Kingfisher.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, have a good night. I don't think we're needed anymore.
Bob?
Are we all set?
We're ready, I think, Tony.
Okay, next one would be Clinton.
Hi, everyone. My name's Alan Bonestall from Bonestall Electric. Thank you for hearing this tonight. I'm looking for a variance to install a generator at 33 Old House Lane in Chappaqua. Reason for our variance request.
Could I just, I'm sorry, could I just interrupt for 1 second, just so the record's correct? On the application, I see 33 Old House, and I see that crossed out, and I see 15 Old House.
The application is for 33 Old House.
Okay,
15 is the house next door. The Clintons own both houses.
okay.
And where the generator is being installed is on the 33 property.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, great. So we're looking to put the generator in the front yard. There's an awful lot of screening in that front yard. It's far enough away from the houses One of the main reasons why we wanted to put it in that front yard is we have a guardhouse at the end of that cul-de-sac, which has a generator right behind it for the 15 property. This would allow the guardhouse that's in front at the end of Old House Lane to have this other generator in view. So it's for a security standpoint, and there's also more screening down at the bottom of the hill where we proposed than if we went towards the top of the property. And those are our reasons really for asking for a variance tonight. And I'd like to answer any questions that you might have. But the survey shows the generator down the bottom, and it's just a little closer to the proposed, the allowed setbacks. So we're asking for a side setback and a front setback variance.
Excuse me, I'm looking at the coverage calculations, and they indicate that they were done with respect to 15 Old House Lane. Is that correct?
No, this is for 33 Old House Lane.
But I'm looking at the coverage calculation page in your application.
It should be that's for 33 Old House. That's a mistake. Everything is 33.
Are we sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. You want to take a look?
Tom, are you satisfied that the calculations are for the correct property?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I'm sorry, I was speaking to Tom.
Oh, I
Tom,
see.
are you satisfied that the calculations are for?
The calculations given have the block lot and section for the correct property. There's no way at this point to verify the numbers, but we have just done a review of 33 Old House Lane for an additional project, and there was no developmental, problems at this point. So the generator would not be a concern for developmental problems. They had a lot of extra coverage.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you were okay with those numbers.
I will verify the numbers, but I do know for fact that there is no concern on 33 Old House for developmental coverage.
Okay.
We are looking at another project.
Could you give us a little more detail as to why the generator needs to be put so close to the front yard line? Normally, when we do generators, they're near the house, and we do a lot of them that way. I know you're concerned about a security situation. For the record, could you just give us a little more detail as why the generator location that you've chosen would create a safer environment or be more conducive to the security problems or needs of that piece of property?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, that location, there's a lot of natural screening down at the end of the property right there. You really can't see it from the other houses, and we could add any kind of screening additional screening that you'd like. But from that bottom part of the property, you really can't see it from other places, the other properties, the other houses. It'll be easily accessible for the security agents that always go walk around the property every hour. And there's a guard post right there at the bottom of the property that's within eye contact of this generator.
But if the
When-
generator were up near the house, would that, why couldn't they check it there? Why, I don't understand.
Well, there's just a guard post right there. It's called post 1, right there. And when power goes out, it's a big security problem. And knowing that both generators are right there and they're being monitored by someone in that first guardhouse, post 1 there, is a very good item for us as far as safety and security goes.
So you're saying that when the power, if the power should go out, they need to know right away whether or not that generator started?
That's correct. And there's actually a generator for 15 Old House next door, right behind the guardhouse.
Right, I remember we gave them the variance for that, right?
Perfect.
No, I just want to get on the record why it would be, it's in a location that is not usual for residential generators, and that seems to satisfy my interest. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.
Pam, is there anyone in the queue or who's raised their hand to speak on this issue?
There's one attendee, Andrew Blau. Did you want me to unmute him?
Yes, please.
Andrew, you're unmuted. Please allow yourself to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm just curious if this is a natural gas, propane, or some other type of generator.
It's a propane generator, Andrew.
And where would the tank be buried?
The tank is going to be just above the generator, about 20 feet away from the generator, and 10 feet off of the property line.
Okay, thank you.
No one else, right, Pam?
That's it right now.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any other questions, comments? I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparth,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
You're muted, Howard.
Aye.
and Michael Nolan.
Yes.
Okay, who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for William and Hillary Clinton, 33 Old House Lane, for a variance of 35 feet for the front yard setback and a variance of 10 feet for the side yard setback in order to locate a generator on the property. The applicant has demonstrated that the location of the generator is best location considering the circumstances of the owner and the additional work that will be necessary if it were located elsewhere. There has been no neighbors that have spoken against it. The variances are not substantial. And there is no adverse change to the environment or the neighborhood by reason of the location of the generator. And for those reasons, I move that we approve the application. Do we need a timing on this, Mike, Tom?
I would request that we have a licensed land surveyor mark the property line and give flagging where the generator needs to go. Some of the lines are not clear on the property as to where the property line actually is.
Please include that in the resolution, Carrie.
As for the timing, there's no specific.
6 months to start, a year to complete?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper. I think you're muted.
In favor.
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have your variance.
Very much for your time tonight, everybody.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Strom is next.
Good evening. Can I present? Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Stephen Helms. I'm with the Helms Group Architects in Katona, representing Rabbi Joshua Strom and his wife Talia Strom, who reside at 10 Alpine Lane, along with their 3 boys. This application is basically to replace an existing deck located off the rear west side of their home. I'd like to share my screen if I can, but am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Bear with me one moment. Let's see. Okay, this is the site plan sheet. Just to give you some context, this property is not a corner lot. However, it is between Alpine Lane and Quaker Street, which creates a little bit of a hardship for the owner to expand their outdoor living, if you will. The front yard setback is 60 feet and the rear yard is 50. However, we have to treat this rear yard as a front yard. And therein lies the encroachment of 8 feet. There's a tree, a nice tree, specimen tree between the deck and the terrace area, and we'd like to preserve that tree. Basically, the deck is about 8 feet now. We'd like to extend it out to 12 feet. And it is a modest deck. It's 12 by 20, 21 feet, 299 square feet, which includes the landing and the stairs to get down to the grade level. Again, as I mentioned, it's a double frontage lot, which creates part of the hardship for this project. We do comply with our building coverage and our development coverage. And the owners really just would like to have a little more area where they could entertain, eat, cook, and enjoy the outdoors there. Just to give you a little run-through, this is the floor plan of the deck. The plans on the right are the existing conditions. The proposed deck, as you can see, is on the bottom there. We have a foundation plan and a detail that went along with our application. I'm not sure if my client is on tonight with us. I know there was a conflict, but I would invite Tally if you wanted to chime in, if you're available. If not, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And this setback is for 52 feet, 60. And we respectively would request if we could get some relief to allow this modest deck to be constructed.
And Stephen, I'm on.
Yes. Oh, hi, Tally. Tally, if you want to mention anything about your project there, please feel free.
Thanks. The wood is rotting, so the deck does need to be taken off, and so really our thinking is right now it's essentially a deck that allows you to walk down the stairs. The hope is to be able to place a table on it for us or any kind of future owner of the home, given that there, at this time, there's just no space on it.
Does this deck exist already?
This is an existing deck that we'd like to replace. This deck, what you see in the photo is how it sits today.
Right, so you're not enlarging it. You're not making.
Oh,
it
yes,
larger.
we are enlarging the length of it, but because of the, we'd like to, it's only 8 feet is the depth, and we'd like to give a little more width there to allow us to put a table and some chairs and again, accommodate their family. This house is elevated, so for them to get downstairs, they'd like to be able to cook at that level. Again, it is a rear yard, however, it's elevated from Quaker Street. And there's a pretty good buffer between Quaker Street and the back of the house here. And I'm not sure if you all had a chance to visit the site, but there is it is elevated and it does meet the criteria of a rear yard, which is only 50 feet. But this house has to be treated, which, as the building inspector mentioned, a double frontage. So we have that to deal with here. So.
Pam, is there anyone on this item?
I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay. Any other questions by the board?
Just a small section that's depicted in red is what encroaches. The majority of the deck complies. But it's just that small sliver, which is again depicted in red, and that's basically the steps. So those are declining, so that decreases the impact. But we'd like to get off the deck, off the rear of the deck, not to the side.
Okay, I move we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Yes.
Who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion
make a
that the
motion.
applicant.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, I don't want to step on your toes, Howard, if you want.
Go ahead, Tony. It's all yours.
I'll make a motion that the application of Joshua and Tyler Strong for the reconstruction and a small addition to a currently failing deck be approved for the following reasons. Let me go back a little bit. Reconstruction of a failing deck requiring an 8-foot front yard variance be approved for the following reasons. This is a difficult piece of property in that it has 2 front yards, and where the deck is would normally be considered a rear yard in a normal situation. Through no fault of the owners, they're subjected to complying with front yard variances on both the back and the front of their house. The granting of the variance will not create an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. There are no other method to achieve the desired end other than granting this variance. In this particular instance, the variance is relatively small. This is not a self-created hardship in that the property is in a unique situation, having 2 front yards. If you could start within 6 months and finish within a year, do we need any as-built drawing on that one, Tom?
Yes, sir, please.
So we need a final survey showing.
We will take an as-built from the architect. We don't need a final survey.
Okay, so an as-built plans by the architect should be submitted prior to granting of the CO. You should have 6 months to start and 1 year to finish.
I'll second.
Favor?
Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Thank you. Have your variance.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Karen is next.
You say Barg is next?
Tareen Shamuna and Taryn Amir.
Yeah, hi. Hi, this is Tareen.
Sorry about that.
And I have my architect, Mr. Raj Ahuja, with me.
Hi.
You're muted, Ken.
If you would tell us what you're applying for, please.
Sorry.
Mr. Taryn, if you could tell us what your application is for.
Yeah, so we actually, we want to build a deck in the side of the house because the primary reason to build a deck is that we are living in the house for the last 12 years, and then we start noticing that the main door, the main entrance, which is actually which has the foundation wall, which is actually has a damping, and then notice that because the house is built on the very slopy slope, what do you call that? Because it's on the rock, so the water actually is going to that area. So we realize that I think the first and foremost is if we build a deck over there or something, some shade that would actually prevent the water going to the main entrance. And then we thought that if we make it like for the multi-purpose, so if we make it a little bit bigger so it can serve as a car porch, because we have only one garage. So this is like the only way we cannot build another garage. So this is another way to keep our car under the porch. And then that will allow us actually to walk in the entrance without getting into the rain or snow, so you can actually get out of the car and then go into the entrance. So that would actually help us. So that's the second purpose of the deck. And this is the only place where we can put deck right now. Because, and that's basically is a front for us, because the front is facing the road where we don't have any space, because the house is already built on adjusted variants like 50. Original 60 says it's already approved grandfather approval, on the 50 variant. So we are basically building on the side where we have a lot of space. And because another reason, because the stairs we had previously were all damaged in last like many years. So, and the stairs were like spirally kind of stairs. So that was another reason we wanted to change it, because the stairs were not very practical, because it was very narrow where the pivoting is. We wanted to make them square, basically. So we thought that if we build a stair and the deck together, that would give us strength to deck and the stairs both. And that is something I discussed with my architects, and which is they have said it's quite a good solution.
So could I see if I have this right? So you want to construct a deck that will, at a higher level, serve as a deck, and then underneath it will serve as a carport?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that will actually give us shade on the stairs as well, because it's I have a garage and the main entrance, which is going into the den, which is actually is our living room. And that's a main entrance to the house too. That will actually give a shade to that main entrance as well. Because the water actually has been going to that foundation, because the house is built on that. So there's a foundation actually is one of the wall in the main entrance room, the living room. One of the wall actually is the foundation wall of the house, and that actually has a little damping. We actually learned that in last few years.
So are there two decks now? Or, I mean, will you plan on having two decks, or is that just a landing to the?
Only one deck, sir.
Only one deck.
And what is the size of the deck that you're planning on building?
So the depth is 14 feet. The depth is 14 feet and the width is 26.
14 by 20.
So you're replacing the stairs with a wooden staircase, plus you're adding a deck.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Pam, is there anyone who is in the queue on this item?
There are no hands raised, no questions. Nobody asked the question.
Thank you. Any other comments by the board?
I just have one quick. So what is the size of the variance requested? I don't see that.
And looking for any variants.
We're actually not looking for any variant because the house is
already
built, like it's built in 1978.
Right.
So the variants were already been, how do you say that?
They were granted before. When the house was built, the side setbacks were reduced.
It was non-conforming.
But deck is, we are not building a deck on the as wide as the house. The deck is narrower in the width, so that it complies with the required setbacks.
You're muted, Ken.
There's a variance request of 7 feet for the front yard and 13 feet for the rear yard.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Cooper,
In favor?
Adina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
I'll make a motion. I move that the application of Tareen Samuna and Taryn Amir for the construction of a deck, carport, and accompanying stairs be approved for the following reasons. The homeowner is taking this action in part to mitigate the infiltration of water into the foundation of the structure. There will be no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The benefit cannot be sought through other means or methods. The variances are not substantial. There will be no adverse impact on the physical environment, and the alleged difficulty is not self-created. You'll have 6 months to start, 1 year to complete. What kind of survey, Tom?
A final survey, please.
Final survey. There also are no neighbors who have spoken in opposition to the application. For these reasons, we should approve it.
I'll second.
Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
You have Salzburg, Tony?
Yeah, I thought you weren't finished with Turin yet. They thought, I don't,
Thank you. Have your,
I'm not sure that they realized that their variance is approved.
I'm sorry, your variance has been approved. Thank
Right,
you.
thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great day.
Now we can go to Salzburg.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Jim Coleman. I'm the architect, and the owner, Jill and Michael Solberg, are here as well. For the record, there is no S in the middle of their name. It's Solberg.
Sorry about that. Pardon me, Salzburg.
And
I'll remember them for next time.
okay. And can I share the screen? I'll just quickly present what we're proposing.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so this is the location that's under consideration. There's an existing terrace here that we're enlarging slightly to create a exercise room between two bump outs on the side of the house. This is an existing study and an existing family room. This is the site plan. You'll see that the house is close to the property line. The existing house just meets the side yard setback. So because of the angle of the site, this 3-foot projection to make the roofs work on the addition requires a 6-foot side yard variance. It's a very private property. Let me show you the photograph of the site. So this is the property right here, which is at the top of this knoll. This is the driveway to the property. That's the house up here. This is a neighbor. This is the view down the driveway. This again is the view of the house. This is where the addition is proposed here. And this is other views of the house. This is the back. So this again is the area where we're proposing the addition. And then back to the drawings. This is the plan. So this is the existing study, existing family room. This is where the new exercise room is proposed. And here are the elevations. This is the front of the house. So the addition is poking out right here past the study. Here's the addition here. And then this is the view to the back. It's a very well screened property. There's a large rock outcropping right here and a mature tree. So that very briefly is what we're proposing, and happy to entertain any questions.
So right now, this is open, it's an open patio?
Correct. Right here, yeah.
Yeah. So you're enclosing it and heating it? Oh,
yeah, yes.
Go business, yeah.
Yeah. It's roughly a 17 by 17 square room that we're proposing right here.
Do we have anyone in the queue wishing to comment on this application?
There is an attendee with their hand raised, Maxine Margot Rubin. I will unmute you. Please unmute yourself.
By the size of our bedroom.
Maxine Margot Rubin.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, we can hear you.
Do you wish to comment on this application?
I do.
Please go ahead.
I just was trying to get as much information as possible. I'm a neighbor on the other side. I just wanted to find out, a couple of things about its environmental impact. Would it impact any property on my side? Would it affect any wetlands that would affect my side of the property? I'm lower down on the hill. I'm concerned about noise level of construction because I am in media and I do radio, so I'm just concerned about levels. And I just want to find out those answers to those questions.
Mr. Coleman, can you address those?
I'd be happy to respond. I believe you're on the other side of the property.
Correct.
So it's construction would be on the other side of the house, and we would comply with all of the construction and noise, hours of operation and town requirements regarding construction. I think it would have. There's no wetlands on the site. I think it would have no impact on your property.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure I have no real problem with it. Again, I just wanted to make sure I had anything covered from my end about that, especially the noise issue, and especially on a particular day of the week at a particular hour of the day, which is Thursdays at 3:00. And I know it's hard to, stop something in progress. If it's really loud, what do I do?
Well, I would just let us know, I guess, that the contractors we're using are all, very good contractors, and we're not really doing anything that's very loud. There's a little bit of excavation around the existing foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the framing is up, it's not, there won't be, I can't think of anything that would be a lot of noise, and it's a relatively small addition.
Okay.
So we would let the contractor know that Thursday afternoons are a particularly sensitive time.
Right. It's really just like a half hour to 45 minutes from 3 to like 3:45. So if that's possible, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, we'll make a note of that. And it's a small project, and the owners are very eager to get it done and get the use of it. So once it's up, I don't think you'll hear anything at all.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not objecting, to really anything. I think it's probably fine. I just had that particular issue, and also since I'm on the sustainability board, which is having a meeting concurrently, which I have to get back onto, I'm always looking to make sure there's issues of environment are okay. So that was, my bottom line. So that's all. If there's, any problem with noise in the future, if I hear it, but if there's any way you guys can just, keep note of that, I'd appreciate it again.
Yep, we've noted that. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments from? Any other questions, comments?
I don't see anything. Nobody
Okay.
has their hands raised.
Okay. I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
A second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Hi.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion on the application of Jill and Michael Solberg that we grant a 6 foot side yard variance to construct an exercise room. There currently is a porch there right now, an outdoor porch right now, and they intend to enclose it and heat it and make it a bit larger. As the architect indicated, it's very private property and probably will not be seen by any neighbors. The granting of the variance will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. There's no feasible method to achieve the benefit. The variance is not substantial in that it's only 6 feet. There'll be no adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And although this is a self-created hardship, it's de minimis. So for those reasons, I move that we grant the variance. 6 months to start, 1 year to finish.
Do we need a
With a
survey?
fine-
I
With a
have
final survey.
foundation survey, please.
Yep.
Okay, I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Good,
Aye.
and Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Thank you. You have your variance.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, Barg is next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jerry Barrett. I'm the landscape architect planner for the project. Mr. Barg is with us, as well as our project engineer, Alan Pilch, is with us, and I see Caroline Barg just joined. So I'm going to try to share my screen, and I hope everything goes well and kind of walk everyone through what we're proposing. Let's see. So the Bargs wish to construct a swimming pool on their property. And the property.
We're not seeing your screen yet, just so you know. Oh, there it is.
I think it's coming. Okay. So so here we are, if everyone can see that. This is the Barg property in here. And what we have is we have a long driveway coming down to where the house is built. You can see the house is built in the back. There's a kind of a water course and a pond here. And you can see the front of the property, which you can see in this aerial photograph, is this is where there's a wetland system here. This is a DEC wetland here. This is a town wetland here. And we have some lawn, and there's a little bit of lawn area. There's a septic system that's right here. The existing home is here. Existing driveway comes all the way back, and the existing garage is here. There is a wetland setback, 100-foot wetland setback that we need to respect. That's right here. We've discussed this project with the ERB and worked through the environmental process with them, and worked with them. And they're pleased because we took the structure of the pool itself, and it's outside of that yellow line, so it's not in the buffer, and they would prefer to keep structures out of the buffer. So, but we did note that as a result of, if this goes forward, when we did the zoning conformance coverage calculations worksheet, what we found out is that the Barg property is very close to its development coverage. And I submit the reason for that is because it's this long driveway, which is about 6,000 plus square feet. I think that is kind of wherein we're running into some problems with development coverage, because I believe when they built the house, and I believe it was in the 20s, Stephen, you can correct me, but I think when they built the house, they went back and they got to the higher land up in the back. They stayed away from the wet area, and they needed a place that was dry that they could put the septic. So as a result of that, they ended up with this very long driveway, and that accounts for about half of what their development coverage is allowed to be, about 13 and change, and they're at 12. So what happened was, when we added the pool, and we added the spa, and we added the pool deck, what we found was that we were over on our coverage, and therefore we would need a variance for development coverage. So that was the first thing that we realized in discussing this with the building department. We did indicate that we did meet the triple 3 times front setback. Here's the 60-foot setback for the R1 zone. Here is the 180, so we felt comfortable with that, except it was pointed out to us that we also had to have triple the land area. So the property is 2.1 acres, almost 2.2, so we are short on property. You would need 3 acres, and we have 2.2, let's say. So we're requesting an area variance for that as well. So we feel that you know, this is the logical place for the pool. This is the front yard. If you look through if you stand in the middle of the yard and you look to any angle, it's a very, very private property. This is the art center up in here. You really can't see out through the front. You really can't see out anywhere. So it's very, very private, lovely property. So we don't think any neighbors would be impacted by the presence of the pool. This is just kind of a blow up of where the pool would go. It's again, here's that 100-foot setback. Pool equipment would go right behind the existing garage. There's a propane tank here that we need to change out. And I think there's a generator back here too, but we can keep all that within the building setback lines, and keeping all those structures out of the wetland buffer, which is what the ERB asked us to focus on. And then, of course, we will be doing planting. We will be doing other things to make this work. We do note that in order to make this work, we were so tight on space that the driveway in the existing condition is over in this line. This line here that you're seeing is the line of the existing driveway. That's what F is. And what we've done is we've shifted the driveway over closer to the house and shifted it over. So we kind of took the asphalt out from here and put it over here. The idea was we made a little bit of green space between the pool and you come out of the house, a couple of steps, walk across the driveway, a couple of steps, and now you're down to this area. And we've got you're pretty well screened with the building here, and we've got evergreen screening in this area. And then you have this is very dense vegetation here, so it'll be a nice private area. But we wanted to make sure that we had some greenery between the house. As a result of doing that, we actually reduced the size of the driveway for 200 square feet. So we did try to get that development coverage down, and we did go through the erosion controls. We can really keep a really tight construction envelope, not impact any areas, any adjacent areas. We worked with the environmental review board. We've indicated what the potential impacts are. So where there you see this red striping, that is where the pool deck, the pool patio, if you will encroach into the 100-foot buffer. At the request of the ERB, we really minimize that down. And then so the impacts are in red, and what you see in green are where we can provide offsetting mitigation, including reducing this driveway by 200 feet. So all that was working very well. We also had a big component of these things is how do you manage the stormwater. We had Alan Pilch look at that, and Alan has a stormwater area designed in this area that I think it meets all the town requirements. So with that, Alan, do you want to talk anything about the stormwater? Or?
I certainly can. The plan for the stormwater is to pick up the new runoff from the pool, the patio area, put it into subsurface chambers. We actually tested the soils where the chambers are going to be located, and we had good depth to restrictive layers, which is groundwater in this instance, though we're somewhat close to the wetland, but it was 6.5 feet down. So we were able to accommodate that. We had very good percolation rates. The soils are very pervious. And so the runoff from the pool and the patio are conveyed into the chambers, and there's an outlet through an outlet control structure to basically a pop-up emitter. Most of the runoff, though, that comes off the pool is going to go into the groundwater, which will actually be good because it will feed the wetland. And we accomplish peak rate attenuation of flows, and also capture and treat the water quality volume, because it's very important because we're adjacent to a wetland and a state wetland. And that's what the stormwater plan does. And we also showed that at as I say, the result will be a decrease in the peak rate of runoff going off-site to both design points, one to the south and one to the north. If there's any comments or questions?
I don't have anything further other than, I really would reiterate that I think it's the presence of the wetland system in the front that forced all the development to the back. You could see there's no way you could ever get a pool in the backyard. Plus, this is a slope going right down to the thing. So the only place on the property to put a pool is in the front yard, and the only place to put it in this particular case to avoid going into the wetland buffer is right in this area. So we've tried to do the best we can. I think it's a very private property. don't think any of the neighbors will even know it's there. I don't think there'll be any potential impact. So for those reasons, we would hope that the ZBA would consider the variances.
Was there any other development on the property that you looked at as far as a reduction?
Well, it really is not much. We, the pool patio, we think, we need a space around it. This is the east side, so the chairs will be here. The garage is the garage, the house is the house. It just has a small patio here, and the house has a small patio here. I don't know how you could make the driveway any smaller. And it has a little area to turn around the cars, and the cars come in here and they back out that way and they come back in. So we are taking this out, that's for sure. I should have mentioned that there's a 102-foot playhouse that's out in the field that's coming out. So between the playhouse and the driveway, we were able to take about 300 square feet out of the development coverage.
Pam, is there anyone in the queue who wishes to speak to this application?
No one has their hands raised at this time.
Another question, what is the size of the pool itself?
Pool is, next page. Pool is 18 by 36. So it's a modest sized pool. A standard pool is 20 by 40.
Any other board comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Sure.
As far as the permits that are required, I see on the EAF, the New York State DEC Wetlands Permit, is there any local wetlands permits required for this?
Project is currently before the ERB. We discussed this with them, and they were favorably disposed to grant the wetland permit. We worked with them. We've listened to their comments. We reduced it. Believe it or not, this has been reduced since then. And they had the same focus as this board to reduce it as much as we can. And we thought we found we struck a balance. So we do need a wetland permit approval. We will need a building permit. This is the New York State DEC buffer line right here. Well, we'll need DEC definitely for, there'll be a SWIP, and Alan's providing, Alan's preparing the stormwater pollution prevention plan. It will need speedies coverage. We acknowledge all that. If we need a DEC permit, it would probably be for this work right here. But I think that would probably qualify for administrative permit, which should be fairly easy to get because it's outside of, they usually grant wetland administrative permits if you're more than 50. So here's 100 feet. If you're 50 feet to 100, you qualify for an administrative permit. So I see no reason why we wouldn't get it, because it's really just a temporary excavation to allow the infiltrators to go in and put them back in. And same thing with the tank. And then what we're doing is we're digging this whole area here that's just kind of weedy, kind of messy growth now. And we're going to replant that with all native vegetation. So we really think we have a net, an improvement of what's going on in the wetland buffer there. And I think the ERB, I agree with us. But if we do need that DEC wetland permit, we will certainly apply for it and get it as a condition of a building permit.
Yeah, the question is whether it should be a condition of the approval of the variance to obtain the ERB, the permit from the ERB, and if necessary from the New York State DEC.
I think we can make that contingency part of the motion. Who'd like to make a motion?
We have to close the public hearing first, don't we?
Yes, I'm sorry. I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth
Did we find out if anybody was in the audience? Pardon me.
Yes, I did ask.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. In favor?
Aye.
Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion at the application of Stephen and Carolyn Bard for the construction of a new swimming pool requiring 2 variances, one for a lot size variance of 35,893 feet, and one for a development coverage variance of 14,947 feet. Excuse me, no, that's the variance is for 1,312 square feet. Be approved for the following reasons. The pool construction on this particular piece of property is very unique in that the house is set almost to the far rear as it could possibly be, leaving all front yard and very little, if any, rear yard. Which creates a need to put this pool in the front yard. Because it's so secluded, this will not create an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. The location of the construction of the pool will not create any adverse environmental impacts in the neighborhood. The request for the variance is not self-created in that because of the uniqueness of the location of the house and the size of the property, this is the only place that it could be put if you want to do it at all. In this particular instance, it's not a large variance in any event. This variance shall be contingent upon a DEC permit if necessary and a permit from the ERB as well. And you would have 6 months to start and 1 year to finish. With regard to as-built surveys, as usual, I would put into my motion that the pool as reinforcing material be installed and a survey conducted before the shooting of the gunite to ensure the proper location of the pool and its equipment. And for those reasons, we should grant.
Just one clarification before the board seconds and discusses. Just as far as the development coverage variance, proposed is 14,947, permitted is
Right.
13,634. So the requested variance is 1,313 square feet. I have
Oh, okay, because
covered.
I should have rounded up. I'm sorry. 1,000. I had 1,312.34, which I should have rounded up to 13. I have no problem with that.
And then I just wanted to clarify it for the record so
Yeah, no, I should have.
Jackie could get it correct. And then as far as
I should have done that. Okay.
and the lot area, 3 acres is required, 2.176 acres exists, so an area variance of 0.824 acres is requested.
0.82, right.
Okay.
Okay, for that.
I just wanted to make sure I was clear on the record before we,
Thank you, Eric.
yep.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Yes.
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think you guys do an unbelievably important job, and I suspect nobody thanks you. So this is no longer a thankless task, because as somebody who's lived in Chappaqua, Carol and I have lived here for 30 years, as you know. And I just want to thank you guys for all the hard work you do, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Thank you all. Good night.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Darlington is next.
Here.
Please tell us about your application.
Hi, my name is Matt Darlington. I am a 20-year resident of 214 Pines Bridge Road. And I'm sorry I don't possess the technical savvy to, like my predecessors, to put a copy of my survey up on the screen for you. But I am requesting a setback variance for a carport and a shed. And this is a exceptionally private location. The property is bordered by Warburg Park, which is completely wooded. That's on the southwest side of the property, and on the east side of the property that's a half acre, and that's owned by me, and that's also all woods. And I think the variance I'm requesting for the concrete pad and carport is 17 feet. I believe it's 45 feet. I'm not sure about that. And the variance for the shed would be 24 feet.
Could you also fill us in on the extension request that is connected to this application? I'm not sure what that's about.
I'm sorry, what request?
The request for an extension from 2000, what was that now? From case number, I think it was 20, is that from 2015, the extension? I'm a little confused on that.
Oh, the addition for the house?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking for.
That was to rebuild, to demolish and rebuild the storage barn.
Yeah, I saw that on the itinerary tonight, and I don't know where that came from. I don't intend to demolish the barn.
Let me interject here. I think I can shed some light on this. When the barn was constructed, it needed a variance to be in that location. The barn was never closed out and a CO issued. And that's part of the work we're doing, is to get a CO issue for the barn. But to do that, we have to have an active case going. So we're asking for an extension so that we can close out the barn.
But does that require any variance or any?
The variance was granted originally. It was granted to construct the barn. Now we're asking, they need to finish the barn so that they can get a CO. There was some sections that were not done as per the accepted plans. So they needed to update and get an extension on the variance to finish the work.
I see. Does that have any connection with the variance we're looking at tonight for the carport?
It does, in the respect that the carport is attached to the barn and adjacent to the shed.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the site plan and it says frame garage. Is that what you're calling the barn?
Correct, yes.
So that's the barn in question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then after that is the concrete pad, which would be the carport.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I guess we need to do two motions, one for the extension and one for the current request for variance. Is that the way?
Rather than make them refile for a new variance for the prior variance that was granted, we did it through an extension of time.
Okay. I'm okay with that. So is the concrete pad proposed or is it already built?
In place, sir.
It is already built.
Without a permit?
It's illegal.
Without a permit.
Yes.
I built it about 5 years ago, and I didn't realize that I needed to get a permit for that.
Okay. Okay.
Pam, is there anyone in the queue who wishes to speak to this application?
No one has their hand raised.
Questions by the board? Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Motion? Harvey, could you? Harvey, could you make this motion for us?
Yeah, sure, but I don't have a copy of Tom's initial review. So I don't know the exact amounts of the that they're looking for.
I have it here.
I could do the motion if you prefer, Harvey.
I don't, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't have Tom's refusal sheet.
Why don't you go ahead then, Tony?
You want me to do it? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make two motions. The first motion is going to be for the Darlington extension request. And I move that we approve that extension request, but I don't know for how long we need it, Tom. How long do we need the extension for?
6 months.
It's
6
already
months,
been,
okay.
it's already constructed, right? So it's just to complete and close it out, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move
6
to
months to
make
close.
make a 6 month extension for the Darlington property.
A second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Yes.
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Okay, now for the other request, I'll make a motion that we approve the legalization of a shed and a carport at the Darlington property. Requiring, the shed is going to require a 24-foot variance, side yard variance, and the carport is going to require a 19-foot side yard variance. I move that we approve most of those variances for the following reasons. The granting of the variance will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The carport and I think the shed as well, was constructed without permits, but not with any malice. It was a mistake by the homeowner who did not require it. A permit was required, and we will forgive him for that. Granting of the variance, there will not be any adverse effect to the physical environment or the conditions in the neighborhood. There have been no neighbors in opposition to this request. The area of concern where the shed and the carport are very secluded and will not affect any neighbors in any adverse way. And you don't have to do 6 months to start because you already did it. Do you need any final surveys on that, Tom? For the carport and the shed?
We already have.
You already have them. So we have surveys in hand. And so for those reasons, we should grant.
A second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Thank you. Have your variance.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, next Lee Lombardi.
Yes, good evening. My name is Christopher Schmidt. I'm with Neve Group. I'm representing the Lombardis this evening. What we are asking for is an extension of a pre-existing variance that we received back in 2015. The pool equipment and generator were placed off the property in error. I'm going to share my screen so I can explain this a little bit better. So when we were constructing the pool there, there's an existing fence and some vagueness about where the property line was, and the pool equipment and new generator were accidentally placed off the property in this location here. Once we did the as-built to close out the permit was when the error was made aware to us. So what we are proposing now is to relocate the pool equipment, which is currently here, to its new location here. And then the generator, which is currently in this location, to its new location over here as well. And then we're going to remove this propane tank, which is an above ground propane tank, and move it to a buried location right here. So the variances that we are requesting are, from the rear yard setback for both the pool equipment and the generator. However, from the previously approved variances, we're going from a 43-foot variance to a 39-foot variance for the generator, and a 41-foot to a 39-foot variance for the pool equipment. So we're actually going to be further away from the property line, decreasing the original approved variance from back in 2015. In regards to the fencing, all of this fence work here will be removed and placed on, the Lombardi's property correctly. We're going to have this property line staked by the surveyor so we can assure that this error won't happen again. And in regards to the existing slope and any of this disturbance back here, we will remediate it back to its original state, which was, graded and generally leaf litter in the back.
Am I understanding this correctly, that this equipment and the generator were not placed on their property?
That's correct. It was placed on the neighbor's property in error.
Interesting.
Could you explain, in placing the generator in its new location, how did you come up with that location? It would appear that you could place it more inbound so that there was even less of a variance required.
If we were to move it, so there's a slope here with a bit of a flat area, and what we're intending to do is to terrace this. This is a slope that goes from these boulders down to the bottom, and our intent is to level off this area, to install those two, and that's why we put them there so that we could mitigate that slope as best we could to not push it up to the top, and have it be visible, from the rear yard as well. And this was the original location of the pool equipment in the original variance.
Where was the original generator to be placed? The approval that was granted, where did the generator locate?
So the generator was we did not obtain that variance. The generator variance was obtained by the electrician. And I believe on the site plan that he noted, it was located next to our equipment on the plan. But with our equipment being, erroneously put down here, they placed the generator in this area. So it was intended to be in this area here.
It was intended to be where?
In this area right here, next to the existing pool equipment, or on this side. We're also maintaining our separation from the propane tank as well for the ignition sources. And this area over here is septic.
They didn't realize that they were putting it in the wrong, when it was put it on the neighbor's property, it was doubly wrong. It was put on the neighbor's property and it wasn't put where it's supposed to have been put as per the variance.
You're speaking about the generator or the pool equipment?
I guess I'm talking about both. It looks like.
Yeah, so what happened in this situation was there was an existing deer fence that was marked back here. And unfortunately, the assumption was made by the field crew that it was along the property line, and they looked at this and, measured off this way to locate the equipment, thinking that the property line was where the fence was. Henceforth, there we would be on the property, not off the property. And this deer fence was here. I'm not exactly sure when that was placed, but it was prior to the variance being issued when we began work on the property. So that's how the equipment ended up off of the client's property.
What have the neighbors have to say about this? Did they write in or make any comments?
Yeah, so the neighbor here, the Marcus's son, had written a letter and sent it in that we received earlier today. They mentioned something about the price that they had given to sell the property to the owners of the Lombardis. And then they also asked for a few stipulations of what they'd like to see. One being that the location of the equipment is approved by Tom DePole, and then that the slope is remediated back to as original condition as possible.
Tom, is there anything you want to explain to the board?
I believe Linda Marcus, the daughter of the Marcuses, would like to speak to the board about this. She's on the line.
Okay.
She's expressed a desire to comment.
Pam, could you allow that?
Yes, we have, by the way, we have two people who want to speak. I'll bring it Linda Marcus.
Okay.
Linda Marcus?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration this evening. Just to say, I don't recall the deer fence. I'm the one who wrote the letter, by the way, not my brother. I've been intimately involved with this. It's been quite an ordeal with my parents, it being that they've not been well, and I'm handling this. And my mother is aghast, but I finally got her to agree potentially to sell some of that land. And then Mr. Lombardi decided that wasn't going to be what he wanted to do, and that's fine. The mistake is a huge mistake, actually. And who knows, you say leaf scatter that was on this land. I don't know what was really on that land. My mother, who's not on this call because I'm not with him in Chappaqua right now. I'm in Florida right now. Unfortunately, I had to get back there. My brother's with him right now. But that land, if she were to speak to it, she'd say there were trees, there were things there. Okay, I know it's a hill, and I've submitted photographs. I did write to Jackie. Jackie, I gave you some photos. I can share my screen right now and show you the photos of the area, if you like. But I would like the land put back, and I want them to be consulting with my mother about what she'd like to see there, because this is not a small thing that occurred, period. It just isn't a small thing. And I want the town to try to, monitor it so it does not happen again. That's all I can say. We want the Lombardis to have, I'm not opposed to what I see on the screen right now. It's fine, but I just want to make sure what's there and what's left there, put back the land properly. And I would like to see some trees to block noise now that I'm seeing, where things are. Maybe I suggested, pine trees or evergreens, which, my mother's happy to help water somehow, or Miss Lombardi could. They're very nice people. Accidents happen, but I don't want to see this happen again. So I'd like the surveyor involved, if at all possible, through the process. Anyway, thank you all for your time and for listening to my speech. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Could you hold on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
And you're muted.
I'm sorry. So if I understood correctly, you'd like to see some screening between relocated items and the Marcus property. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
That would be correct, sir.
And then you'd like to see some restoration work done
on that land, maybe Pachysandra, something to hold the soil. That's now, and then of course there's concrete that needs to be removed, etc. So the soil will be tumulted a little more, but some kind of growth to keep the soil intact. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, just to be clear, where these items are today, and once they're removed, you'd like to see this restoration work take place. Is that
correct? Yes.
Correct? Okay.
And there is a picture. I did send pictures to Jackie.
Okay,
You got the photographs.
okay. And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that we heard everything. Is that the extent?
That is all I have to offer, sir. Yes, Mr. Cooper.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your comments.
Tom, is there a fence currently on the border of the property, the two properties?
There's, the existing fence is located along this line here, which will then now be relocated to the property line right along this area here.
All right.
And as Ms. Marcus did say, any of the concrete, will be removed, from this area.
What are those stairs that I see that are on both properties?
There's some loose slab steps that went down to the area, which will also be removed. They're basically boulders placed as steps.
So what is your view of this, I'm sorry, the Marcus request for screening?
Well, I can appreciate her desire to have that since it was not required with the existing, variance that we did receive. I don't see how there would be a need for the screening now. For the sound buffer or anything else, if the sound of it was an issue before, which it doesn't sound like it was, it's more of a visual, we're happy to put it back. It was an honest mistake. So we're willing to remediate the land, but as far as installing additional screening, I don't see the need for that.
So you don't believe that there's any anything that the Marcuses can see from their property as it now relates to the new placement of the generator and the pool equipment and so forth?
I actually can't speak to that. I haven't been on their property to look at where the new location would be. It's a wooded area. It's like a vacant space between the properties with some foliage, up near their house, if I believe which house is theirs. So would it be visible sometimes a year? Possibly. But again, with the original variance that was issued, there was no required screening.
Yeah, I'm just speaking for myself now. Given the circumstances of this application, which are unusual to say the least, I would be inclined to accept the Marcus's request that there be screening, to hide the items that are now being relocated.
I agree. And I'm also wondering, how far is the Marcus house from the proposed installation?
Allison, who is on as well, but I would guess to say it's a few hundred feet from the property.
Yeah, their house is located, I'd say like it's an equivalent lot size, sort of mirrored over to the side. If I could grab, I can bring up the Westchester GIS very quickly just to show you the property in question.
So there is now Linda Marcus is back asking to speak, and so is another individual, Yan Peng.
Okay, let's try to look at this map first. And
yeah, I'm gonna screen share if Allison doesn't have that up yet. Just the Google map here.
You can, do Google Maps. I have Westchester.
So this is the Lombardi's property. And then this is where the equipment will be located off of this area. And I do believe that this is the Marcus's house.
No.
Or is it this house?
No, it's the other way.
This way.
Down right here, down to the right. There's a tent right there. That one over there.
This is the Marcus's house? Yes.
Yes.
So this is the distance from here to here.
It's a fair distance.
It's a substantial distance. That's correct.
There's some heavy forestry or foliage there. I know it's probably in the spring or summer.
Yeah, and this does appear to be a tennis court back here as well, so it, you know. So I don't see the objection to some pool equipment when you have a tennis court in your.
We are adding arborvitae's along that row there as well.
I'm sorry, please repeat that.
This is Mark from Neve. Chris, if you go back to the drawing, we are adding arborvitae's, and Lombardi's have agreed to extend the arborvitae hedge, which is going to kind of provide coverage between the Marcus property and the Lombardi property. Chris, can you go back to the drawing itself?
Yes. My apologies.
That's okay.
You guys can all see that now, correct?
No, it's the same thing.
No.
I think we actually have the satellite view right now.
We use a different program for screen sharing, so.
Yeah.
So
So
if you go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so this is the area. We currently have these arborvitae's installed, you know, for privacy on this side, and Lombardi's are looking to extend this hedge along here as well, which, you know, the Marcus property is over here, the house.
Is Linda back on? Is she able to see this?
I will put her, I'll unmute her. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yes, I do see that. One thing I want to point out for everybody is there is a slope coming from the pool going down, and that's why you've got those steps. And the pool equipment currently is now placed in a perfect little location. Unfortunately, they didn't want to buy the land, but it's a valley. Actually, you can't see it from this. Is not topographical, so you can't really see. But it's below level of their pool, below level of the hill that overlooks. And there's that photo I did send to Jackie shows that very clearly. It's more quiet when it's down below. It will be elevated higher, so it may be heard. Whether we have a tennis court is not an issue. That has to do anything with this variance, by the way. So I resent you even bringing that up, actually. But I think it's more to deal with what's at hand, a mistake that was made, land that was altered, albeit innocently or otherwise, and needs to be put back. And I do believe that a hedge or whatever we're asking is all within reason. And I will respectfully offer that one more time to you as an option, and I will receide my time.
Well, before you leave, let's just.
No, I'm going to listen. Don't worry, I'll listen.
Okay, well, no, I want to engage with you on this subject because, you know, now that we've seen the vegetation that exists between the two properties, I think it puts it in a slightly different light. We now see that this row of arborvitae, you know, have been projected as to go in this location. I don't know if it's, from your perspective, the best location or not. It seems to, because we're not looking at the two properties, it would appear that it will result in some screening, just the arborvitae's now I'm talking about, between your property. So I don't know the applicant, what the intention was for the arborvitae. Was that always to be screening?
Yes.
Yes, it's additional screening from neighboring properties.
Because it seems to be a good number of bushes. Now, again, I don't know if they're exactly in the right place.
I guess what I would say, to be honest, is I think, first of all, I have no problem with where things are placed. I want them to move on and have a life, and they deserve that. But I do think that you could wait to see what the noise volume might be And if the arborvitae's need to move a little bit to the left, as I'm looking at the screen, I don't know, north, south, east, west, I guess, you know, towards the stairs that will be removed. If some of that could be done, I think that would be appreciated. And that's all I would say. I want the Lombardis, I want them to move forward. I do. So with that said, they are a neighbor. I want them to do well with this, but you know, we're happy to even participate with them to make this right, if need be, is the point. Okay, and with that, again, I'll say nothing else.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear to you that we have a little trouble with sort of call them day 2 requests because,
Gotcha.
you know, we want everybody to be in a position to move forward after this evening's meeting. And, you know, it's not possible for us to say, we'll revisit this if it's necessary in the future. We really have
I hear you.
We really have to make a determination tonight as to.
Then I would extend the arborvitae's a little bit toward the steps is what I would ask, I guess. Maybe there's a few more bushes that can go, and I don't know how tall these trees go. I don't know the botanics of it. But maybe you extend them a little bit more towards the steps. And I think that would probably cover some of the trajectory toward the house too.
How tall are the
That would be my
plantings?
suggestion.
How tall are the plantings?
There were 78 footers when installed.
Okay. And would there be a problem in adding another 10 feet? To
No,
the
we could either add as needed or maybe separate out a little bit and put a foot in between each one. I think right now they're tight and touching. So adding to it, no, I'll talk to Lombardis. I'm sure they'd be willing to do that.
Okay, we need a number though.
Well, why don't we do this so we can space this section out so that it comes to this point, this corner of the property line? Would that be acceptable, Ms. Marcus?
I'm sorry, say that again, sir. Forgive me, I was looking up arborvitae's.
If we,
Yeah, that's what I was looking up arborvitae's, just so I knew what the trees were.
He wants to take it to this point.
This point.
That he's pointing to right now.
Yeah, I would take it a little further toward the next line, possibly a curve slightly over one more there. Yeah, or even that's perfect. The stairs, that's perfect. That stair sign. I would do straight over toward, keep going to the left. And I would, I would go to where the stairs, right there. That's perfect. I think you're perfect.
That's almost doubling the number. So I guess what my question is, if I'm allowed to address.
Doubling? Is that doubling? I didn't realize that's doubling.
Yeah, if I'm allowed to address Ms. Marcus, is it, like, what is the goal of the screening? Is this a visual screen or is it a?
It's noise and visual, probably, but noise. And then I guess we should yield to Mrs. Chow or the Chow people. Maybe they have some opinions. I don't know. But that's just my piece, that it would be noise. I don't know what was taken down. I know my mother could tell you in detail what was taken down on the property. But she would like to see these screening things done very much. So Mrs. Marcus, Renee Marcus, my mother.
Right. So I think if the screening is the main goal, then I think what would be most appropriate is to screen closer to the equipment, which would be more beneficial for everybody.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about, Mr. Schmidt, I think you're talking about moving some from up by the fence down, to extend closer to the stairs. Is that your goal?
Yeah, well, this is going to be buried, so this won't be visible. And then what we could do is add a few screening plants around the generator and the pool equipment, but in closer proximity to the pool equipment. So it'll have a more beneficial screen to.
Okay.
That's great, actually.
Okay. Thank you. Pam, you have one or two other people to be heard?
Yes, Yan Pang, I'm going to unmute you. Please unmute yourself. Yan Pang.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we.
Hey, Gu Chao is my husband, so I'm the Gu Chao people that you guys were mentioned. You guys mentioned a few minutes ago. So our concern is that we really have a very good view of the pool. So if they are putting on a show there, the tickets to our seats are going to be very expensive. So you can share my view of what their pool is. But so well, we are kind of concerned about the noise level, especially during the Memorial Day weekend. It was really noisy, and we have to move our own activities on the other side of the house to avoid their noise. So I think if they can do something to camouflage the pool, and also if they can screen the facilities, cover the facilities, then it will be really good.
So, Mrs. Peng, I just want to be clear. The pool itself is in compliance. We're here this evening talking about a generator and the pool equipment. So we don't have the opportunity to envelop the pool, for instance, in screening or something of that sort.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I
yes,
clarify one thing on the building inspector's denial notice? It does say applicant is seeking relief for the pool deck setback to the rear property line from granted 16 feet to an 18-foot, an increase of nonconformity of 2 additional feet. So I don't know if that additional 2-foot variance for the patio is still being requested. If there was in fact a nonconformity that needs to be remedied as well, maybe the building inspector can clarify, but that was on the denial, so.
Yes, I apologize. I did skip that note in my notes.
That is
Well, there
correct.
is a request regarding the patio, I guess, which was constructed in the wrong area as well.
so that's the apron around the pool.
Yes, sir. There is a section of the patio that was constructed towards the rear of the property that went over the line by 2 feet.
Okay. Pam, do you have, I'm not sure I followed. Is there one more person to be heard?
Not at this time. No one else has their
No.
hand raised.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I add some? So I'm okay with their pool. I think both my husband and I, we were just thinking maybe they can so cover up their facilities like you guys have been discussing, and also somehow control the noise level a bit to be more considerate of the neighbors around. That would be great.
Well, I think we're going to address half of that, Mrs. Peng, and that we'll address the trying to screen the these elements that we've been talking about as far as a generator and the pool equipment. The noise isn't something jurisdictionally that that we're responsible for or have any authority for. We do have the building inspector here. Perhaps he can counsel you on how you might address that issue.
So I'm wondering if planting more trees, like you guys mentioned, would. So you guys are saying planting trees on the other side of the pool, not on our side, right? But.
I'm sorry, where, could you just for clarity, could you explain to us where your house is?
It's, if you, did you see the Gu Chao?
Yes.
That's where our house is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
What's the address of that house? Ms. Peng's house?
It's a 1155 Hard Scrabble Road.
Okay.
So it's
This is their
right
house.
there, yeah.
And this is the Lombards. And there's a deep valley, there's a ravine in between.
Yeah, so our house is the closest to the pool.
You're muted, Ken.
Mr. Schmidt, have we addressed Mrs. Peng's concern about visual screening? Given what you were saying before.
Of the pool equipment, yes. Yeah, I believe if what we're asking for from the neighbors is to have some visual screening around the pool equipment and the generator, we're happy to do that.
Okay, we will need you to modify this plan and return it to the building department so that it becomes part of the official record.
Okay.
We can have that to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Do we know the type of screening and the amount of screening that's going to be shown on the plan at this point?
I think what we're going to propose is 4-foot arborvitae. And it looks like we would need a total of about 8.
Any other comments from the board? Any other points of discussion?
Just so you know, Linda Marcus has her hand raised again.
Okay, let's hear from her, please. Pam.
Linda, you're unmuted. Please unmute yourself.
I'm unmuting, excuse me, I'm sorry. Not to be too difficult, but when you say 8, so do you have a dimension of an arborvitae? You know, in other words, you're speaking to a Neanderthal as far as what is this plant? And then I want to also add to say, 8, does that mean they're 24 inches in circumference or diameter? In other words, I almost want to say, why can't we err on the side of maybe too many and then do less? And I don't know what that means because I'm not an arborist. But again, I think that Mrs. Guchow or the wife of Mr. Guchow and I don't know where Fritz's hand is, but I think that given the situation, I think more is better rather than less. And that's my only final comment to be made.
What about hemlocks?
My mother says hemlocks. She's on speaker listening. Forgive me.
Hemlocks are susceptible to the woolly
big.
insects, so they're generally not recommended to be planted.
But the arborvitae is beautiful, Mom. Just don't worry. You're fine. Arborvitae is beautiful. Don't worry. It's fine. It'll grow, obviously.
They are evergreens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Evergreens could be another option.
Well, they're starting out at 8 to 10 foot tall and 3 feet wide. Each
Oh, they are
plant.
3 feet. Okay.
That's what it says on the plan. So I think that
But they're
I think they look like they're spaced too closely to each other, but
So these ones over here are 8 to 10 feet, and they're going to, yes, be placed rather closely. The ones that we're going to put around the equipment will be smaller due to the fact that the equipment is shorter, and we want to screen it, and then we will place them the appropriate distance so that horticulturally speaking, they'll grow without issue.
Yeah.
All the grounds have to be cleaned, what they did with the trees.
They're doing it. Yeah. My mother, forgive me, my mom is all the grounds need to, they'll take care of that one. Don't worry.
We heard that, yes.
And everything to be replaced back to it was.
I know. That's what we've talked about that, Mom. She's in Westchester right now in Chappaqua. Never mind. You don't need to know the mechanics. But thank you all again. And we do want everybody to move on, obviously.
Mr. Schmidt, because the timing is significant, could you tell us something about how soon you can move the equipment that's on the Marcus property?
Our plan is to move it this season while the pool's winterized. So within the next 2 months.
And would you be able to restore the Marcus property in that same 2-month period?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Yes.
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Anyone brave enough to want to make a motion on this?
It's Tony.
I'll attempt it. I think I'm going to need help, but
We're there for you, Ken.
okay.
I think there should be a community motion.
Okay. I make a motion that the Lombardi application for variances for a pool deck, generator, and pool equipment be approved for the following reasons. With the exception of the pool deck or pool apron, this equipment has erroneously been placed on a neighbor's property. It would make sense that the board and the applicant move it as expeditiously as possible to accomplish the relocation. The applicant has pledged that they can do that within a 2-month time period and also restore what needs to be restored on the Marcus property during that same time frame. Though this has been a hardship on the Marcuses, there will not be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The benefits sought by the applicant is that which makes the most sense. The requested variances.
They're actually less than the original one.
Good point, right. There will be no adverse impact on the physical environment. The alleged difficulty was certainly self-created.
Except for the pool deck it's 2 feet more than the original one.
Right, okay.
When you finalize the motion, Ken,
Yes.
what if anything, do we have the authority over the restoration of the neighbor's property? Who has authority over the monitoring of that restoration and to ensure that the restoration is done to the satisfaction, I should say, of the neighbor? And at the same time, protecting the Lombardis from having to overdo what needs to be done. I mean, there's got to be some way to pin down the requirements of the restoration and how it will be handling and what time. And I'm not sure if that should be in our variance motion or if this should be passed on to another authority. And maybe we should get some legal opinion from Eric on that.
I think I think it can be a condition of the granting of the variance. My concern with both the proposed screening that's going in and the restoration of the Marcus's property is we don't have a plan showing exactly what that restoration is, and we don't have a plan showing exactly what screening are being put in. I know, the applicant had said arborvitae, but that's a different, he had mentioned a different size arborvitae, not the 8 foot 10 tall, 3 foot wide arborvitae that was proposed for, that was shown as existing and that was going to be added. My concern is, whether a revised plan needs to be submitted that could be approved by the board, and that there's too much uncertainty right now as to what's going to take place.
So maybe that's what I was driving at. You said it perfectly. That there needs to be some way to nail down the actual reconstruction of the neighbor's property, so that at the end result, the neighbor's going to say you didn't go far enough, and the applicant's going to say I went too far, without us having, I guess it would be called a planting plan or a restoration plan of some point that could be connected to our variance.
Couldn't we just,
How do we do that now, or should we wait until we can get that before we finalize this variance?
couldn't we just say in the approval that the restoration has to be done in a way that restores the property to its original condition?
We don't know what the original condition was.
Well, I mean, that's a factual determination that's, I don't know, would that work, Tom?
Possibly we could enlist Dennis Corelli, the environmental coordinator from the town, to work with us to establish what that would be, or what the surrounding natural elements are, to be the third party to govern this.
I still think the board needs a specific plan showing what the restoration is and what the plantings are going to be, or else you're leaving a lot to the judgment of the applicant of what they're putting in, and then to the judgment of the building inspector whether they satisfied the condition in that you're going to include in this variance in the variance approval.
Well, what we really need is the Marcuses to sign off on what is being done and the end result. So maybe the approval should say to the satisfaction of the neighbor.
I think
You can't do that.
That's not appropriate.
So open-ended.
I think we need to have a specific planting plan and restoration plan that we approve. And so that later on, we don't get one of those he said, she said scenarios when the job is done and somebody says we went too far and somebody said we didn't go far enough. So we need a pre-approved plan that could be subject to the review of both neighbors, the Lombardis and the Marcuses, and they should come to terms on some consensus as to whether it's acceptable or not, and put that in the record so that there's not later on a big hullabaloo about not having done the correct thing.
I think at some point you need the Marcuses to approve what is being done. We're not.
Well, they can be shown the plan. They can be shown the plan before the next meeting.
Yeah, and then they have to approve it. So because we're talking about a neighbor's property, we can't tell.
But then they can comment at the next meeting.
Do something on a neighbor's property without the neighbor approving it.
Harvey, what do you think about? Because I think we need an objective voice. Tom's suggestion that the town's environmental coordinator be the judge as to whether or not it's in compliance with what was the previous circumstances. And it just as it relates to the plan, I think it was Allison who said by tomorrow they could have a plan to the building department that would show the no fewer than 8 arborvitae, 4 foot high, on the plan that, that would then become part of the record.
But that relates to screening. I'm talking about restoration of the property that was excavated and had the other equipment installed on it. The screening.
Can I
is
speak
pretty
for a
cut and
second?
dry.
Yep, just a minute. Let Mr. Giardina finish.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm saying the screening is pretty cut and dry. We could describe that ourselves. Plan is always better, of course, but the restoration of the neighbor's property is something that's going to have to be specified as to what is going to be done to restore it, and the I guess somehow the two neighbors are going to have to come to terms on what is enough and how far to go, because later on we can't go back later on and say, oh, you didn't do enough, or oh, you did plenty and the other neighbor is unhappy. I mean, we've got to get it. We've got to get somehow to establish what the restoration process is and get everybody to agree on it.
I mean, I would just say to you, Tony, that then we're coming to you, Mr. Schmidt, that, for decades, Steve Coleman went out to properties where people had done things, whether intentionally or unintentionally, like invaded wetlands or done things like that, and made written requirements that the homeowner had to comply with, and made it part of the official record as it related to the property. And so I sort of see something similar to that being, again, the subjective way of dealing with it in this case.
That sounds good to me.
Mr. Schmidt, go ahead. Mr. Schmidt, go ahead.
So I'm not sure if the board saw the letter that Ms. Marcus sent in, but in her letter, she had asked that evergreen trees be planted for noise buffering, which we agreed to. And then she also suggested that the Lombardis plant pachysandra or some other type of ground cover to hold the soil, and cement blocks, where they're going to be removed, which is on their property. And then on her third point, she said ideally be repatriated forested to its original state. But since there are no photographs, she would rely on the board's best judgment. So I think that she would be in agreement, and we also want to restore the property to it. I can search for photographs to supply Tom or Steve or Dennis, who's going to be, it's Dennis now, correct? Not Steve anymore, of what it would look like. But it is generally just a forested area. There weren't any trees removed. It was on a slope.
So my suggestion would be that the Marcus letter describing this repatriation be included in the motion, and that the applicant comply with that. You seem to be in agreement, and the town's environmental coordinator be the ultimate judge as to whether or not that work is sufficient to restore the property to, in his estimation, its prior condition.
I think that's as good as we can do. I mean, we're going to have the Marcus, approval by means of the compliance with the letter. And then if it's judged to be done properly by one of the town officials, that would be good.
I could live with that.
Yeah, but we're going to have continuing jurisdiction. Eric?
You always have continuing jurisdiction over a condition. My preference is always that you have a plan in place rather than leaving it subject to the judgment, even of Dennis. If you're going to require some type of restoration, I'm sure Dennis Corelli can go out, look at the property with the Marcuses and make the determination as to the plan, the restoration plan that has to be done, and put that together. If the board is so inclined, if the board feels that an approval tonight is necessary, we can do it that way. But again, I think it's, I don't know if the timing is a concern, because might not be able to do the restoration in this season if we don't get it done now. But again, I think it makes more sense for Mr. Corelli to go out, put a plan together now with the Marcuses and with the applicant that everybody can agree on, and the board approves that. That becomes part of the board's approval at that point. But to do it beforehand and you know, it creates concerns, basically.
I recognize all of that, Eric, and I don't disagree with any of it. But I do think time is of the essence. And I think the Marcuses, again, if we ask them again, they would say, you know, get this done, you know, so that we can go back to enjoying our property. And so that's why I know it's different than we would normally seek, but I think we can still accomplish something that will achieve what's best for both parties. And so I just want to go back. Allison, did you say, when is the plan going to be in the building department? Your revised plan showing the planting plan?
I believe by end of day tomorrow, once we speak to the Lombardis.
Okay.
If they're not already watching.
Okay.
Does that sound good with you, Chris? Just thumbs up.
Yes. Yeah, we can have that in tomorrow, and I'll speak to Mr. and Mrs. Lombardi, you know, which they're in agreement. They want to move on. It's been a long process already.
So as I said, the timing is this work is to be completed. All work is to be completed within 2 months. Is there anything else that I haven't?
I think we just need to clarify the exact size of the variances, where the pool equipment and generator are going to be located. What's the exact variance off the rear yard setback?
So the generator location requires an 11-foot variance. The pool equipment,
I think it's an 11-foot, it's a 39-foot variance. It's going to be 11 feet off the property line. It's a 39-foot variance.
okay. So the pool equipment and the generator both are 39-foot variance.
Correct. Tom,
Right.
I just want to make sure that's correct.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, and the pool deck,
It's an 18-foot variance.
18-foot variance, okay.
Can I interject that we should get written permission from the Marcuses to go on their property to make this work happen for the remediation?
Yes. So noted.
Thank you.
Jackie, good luck writing this up.
So just to clarify, it's conditioned upon submission of the revised plan with the screening and conditioned upon a proposed restoration of the property being done, I guess, to the satisfaction of the town's environmental consultant.
Yes.
In coordination with the letter that was provided by the Marcuses.
Yes.
I was just contacted by Linda Marcus. She's in favor of the Dennis Corelli coming to the site to do an evaluation tomorrow at his convenience, if possible.
Okay.
Can we turn this all into a motion and be done?
We'll work through it.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
In favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubs,
Aye.
Michael Nolan. I think you're on mute, Michael.
Sorry, having internet. Aye.
Okay.
Ken's on mute.
Thank you. Have your approval.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So I make a motion that we adopt the meeting minutes for the September 30th meeting.
I'll second.
Chairman Kenneth Cooper,
Favor?
Anthony Giardina,
Aye.
Harvey Bonaparte,
Aye.
Howard Dubb,
Aye.
Michael Nolan.
Aye.
Okay. Pam, I think that's the longest meeting we've had in 2 years. So
That was fun.
That's okay. All good.
we'll see you next time.
All right, I'll stop recording now.
Don't forget to vote, everybody.